Most people believe the problem is weakness. That somewhere inside them, there is a lever called willpower, and if they could just pull it hard enough, long enough, everything would change. So they try harder. They white-knuckle through the morning. They force themselves to the gym. They delete the app, set the alarm, write the list. And for a few days, it works. Then it doesn't. And they conclude the same thing they always conclude: I just don't have enough discipline. But that's the wrong diagnosis. And a wrong diagnosis will never lead to a cure. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman who ever lived, never spoke of willpower. Not once. In the Book of Five Rings, he wrote about something different. Something quieter. Something permanent. He wrote about the way. Not a feeling you summon. Not a force you exert. A way of being, so deeply embedded into who you are that action requires no decision at all. What Musashi understood, and what most people never discover, is this: you do not need more willpower. You need to become a different person. Part 1: The lie you were told. You were taught that discipline is effort. That the harder something feels, the more disciplined you are for doing it. That suffering equals progress. But watch someone who is truly disciplined, not the person grinding through pain, but the person who simply does. They wake up early without a battle. They work without negotiating. They train without needing a reason. Not because they have more willpower than you, but because they are no longer the same person who needed it. Musashi trained for decades. Not to get better at fighting. To become someone for whom mastery was simply natural. The sword was not a tool he picked up. It was an extension of who he was. This is the difference that changes everything. Willpower is borrowed. Identity is owned. Willpower asks, "Can I do this today?" Identity asks, "Who does not do this?" One collapses under pressure. The other doesn't even feel it. Part 2: Why willpower always runs out. Willpower is a resource. And like all resources, it depletes. The decision to wake up early costs something. The decision to skip the comfort costs something. The decision to stay focused costs something. By noon, the account is low. By evening, it is empty. And you find yourself exactly where you started, wondering why you keep failing at something you keep trying. Musashi saw this in warriors who trained through emotion. Some days the fire was there. Some days it was gone. And when it was gone, so was their discipline. He did not train through emotion. He trained beyond it. When you build your life on willpower, you are building on water. It shifts. It disappears. It rises in the morning and falls by afternoon. But when you build your life on identity, on a self-concept so clear that certain actions are simply what you do, the foundation does not move. You don't ask yourself whether to eat well. A person who values their body just eats well. You don't ask yourself whether to do the work. A person who is a craftsman just does the work. Not because it's easy, because it's who they are. Part 3: The moment the shift begins. The shift does not happen through motivation. It does not happen through a single decision. It happens through a question most people never ask. Not, what do I want to do? But, who do I want to be? These are not the same question. The first points to a goal. The second points to a person. And every action, every choice, every small decision is either a vote for that person or a vote against them. Musashi cast his votes through repetition. 1,000 cuts. Then 10,000. Not for skill alone. For self-creation. Each sword stroke was not just practice. It was a declaration, this is who I am. You have the same power. Every time you do the hard thing when no one is watching, every time you choose the right action over the comfortable one, you are not just completing a task. You are casting a vote. You are building someone. The question is only whether you are paying attention to who. Part 4. The 3 Layers of Becoming. Musashi's philosophy was never about single moments. It was about layers, each one built on the last. The first layer is behavior. You act differently before you feel differently. You do not wait for motivation to arrive. You move, and the feeling follows. 5 minutes of work when you want none. 1 page when you want 0. 1 rep when your body says stop. Not because you feel ready. Because the person you are becoming does not wait for ready. The second layer is evidence. Every action you complete becomes proof. Proof that you are the person who does this. And slowly, quietly, the story you tell about yourself changes. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined." You start saying, "This is what I do." That sentence, as small as it sounds, is the hinge everything turns on. The third layer is identity. When enough evidence accumulates, the identity solidifies. You no longer need willpower for the things that define you. A writer does not use willpower to write. A warrior does not use willpower to train. They simply are who they are. And who they are does what they do. This is what Musashi meant by the way. Not a path you walk. A person you become. Part 5. The enemy you don't see. There is something that will try to stop this. Not the alarm clock. Not the distractions. Not the difficulty. The enemy is the old self. The version of you that has survived this long by staying comfortable. By making excuses that feel like wisdom. By avoiding the thing that would change everything. That old self is not weak. It is experienced. It knows every argument to make, every reason this isn't the right time, every way to make staying the same feel like the responsible choice. Musashi wrote that you must study your enemy before you can defeat them. And your deepest enemy is the self you are trying to leave behind. You must see it clearly. Know its patterns. Understand how it speaks to you. Because it will not leave quietly. It will offer comfort. It will offer doubt. It will remind you of every time you tried before and stopped. The answer is not to silence it. The answer is to act anyway, and let the evidence of your actions speak louder than its excuses. Part 6. What Musashi never explained, but always practiced. There is something in the Book of 5 Rings that most people overlook. Musashi did not write about results. He did not write about winning duels or accumulating power. He wrote about the practice itself. About what it means to walk away so completely that the way and the person become inseparable. He understood something that modern culture has forgotten. The goal is not the destination. The goal is who you must become to reach it. And that person, once built, does not go backward. Because identities are not abandoned the way habits are. You do not wake up one day and decide you are no longer yourself. This is why becoming a different person is the only change that lasts. Not a better schedule. Not a stronger commitment. Not more motivation. A different self. One who sees the work not as a burden to endure but as an expression of who they are. One who does not need to be pushed because they have become the kind of person who moves. So ask yourself, right now, not later, who is the person you are trying to become? Not what do you want to achieve? Who do you need to be to achieve it? And then ask the harder question, does the way you spent today look like that person? If not, it is not a failure. It is information. And information, when acted on, is the beginning of change. You don't need more willpower. You have never needed more willpower. You need to decide, with enough clarity and enough consistency, who you are. Most people spend their whole lives reacting. You just spent 10 minutes learning to respond. That's rare. Subscribe, and let's keep building that muscle together.